could be the foreshadowing of my own greatness. Let's have that as a conversation around the table. Who would like to start? What in my history could be the foreshadowing of my own greatness? That's a deep one, isn't it?
May I ask for clarification?
I'll get ready to start.
I think race and culture has a lot, the history over the generations, and it's not so much what's in your own mindset, it's very much around you, how you are placed and how you're positioned when you see yourself differently. I think that's an element.
Yes. And when we decide to play the game differently as well, recognizing that there is no such thing as race. One of the things that we've been studying recently is the life of Mr. Buckminster Fuller. And you know, this 7-hour video going through it. And one part of it where, you know, he made, I wrote it in my journal. One of the things is in this new discipline, I have to carry my journal with me. And now I can see where it makes absolute sense, and I'll quote it for you in a moment. But there is no such thing as race. And when we don't actually buy into that, and to be pigeonholed, and to buy into the self-fulfilling prophecy and all of that, then it changes the game. It changes the game. And I am learning that as I go on, in terms of my own personal development in the here and now. I have always had, I suppose, some hesitancy to certain types of games. You know, I have learned to play the power games in corporate life because I've had to do that. But outside of that, what you do in one place, you do in others, you know, I'm learning to say, I don't have to accept this. And it's a slow process. You know, I had a question recently being asked to do something, and, you know, I perhaps thought that I won't go there. I'm very quite clear, but I thought, I'll just run this by my mentor. My mentor just said, but just ask more questions. But I've already closed. I have already closed. And what I'm learning is that I just need to be a bit more open. I won't necessarily go there. But the way that we have been, the way we have conditioned ourselves to think does foreshadow our greatness. Somebody else. What in my history could be the foreshadowing of my own greatness? And look at that, the question of the whole world is there. Felicia, you're thinking so deeply, so you might as well just put it out there.
I don't know, I just feel, I was thinking, well, it could be, I don't know. My dad was very, very strict, very strict, and there were only girls in our family. So, I was just thinking, what does, is that, you know, so he pushed us really, really hard because we were girls, really, really hard. But we also had quite a rough time as well. So what would I say how did that, I think maybe some of that could be that I think I might be a bit too hard because of my dad. And so sometimes that has affected, you know, I would say that maybe that's affected how compassionate I am sometimes. That's the thing that came to me. And I do think I am compassionate, but sometimes I need to be more compassionate to others.
So, what have you got from that insight?
It's about examining myself, and I'm developing into the leader that I know that I can be. So, and that's the first thing that came to my mind.
And if you were more compassionate, how would you be? What would you do? How would you behave?
I think if I was more compassionate, I think my ability to lead teams would be better. So I'd be able to just develop them much more, I think, and be more compassionate towards myself and be less hard on myself as well. So it's all those things.
So here's the thing, start being compassionate to you. And when you start being compassionate to you, then you begin to be compassionate to others. So how could you be more compassionate to yourself today, now? How could you be more compassionate to yourself now?
Being open.
Yes, and? And if you did know how, what would it be? In terms of being more compassionate to you.
To me, less
Yeah.
judging myself. Being
Yes, yes, I love it. This is when I found it. Yes, and if you were doing that, how would you be, baby? Rock it to me, baby. If you were,
I think that would give me well, it would give me more peace. I think more peace, and it would. What we discussed earlier on is about making the right choices and making the right decisions and having more freedom. I think it would give me.
Yes. So have you just noticed? What have you just noticed? And what has everybody else noticed? Alicia said to me, I don't know. And I said to her, and if you did know, so don't take it from anybody that you don't know. All you need to know is already within you. And you just need to be open to the knowing. So what's the most important question you've always wanted to ask me and you've never asked me?
There was a number. How do you read me like that? She coached me last week. That's why. So my new ones are like. One of the things, Neslyn, I was just thinking is that I know you. You just talked about this race thing just a few minutes ago. We talked about race and that there is no race, and I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with that because there, we know so many people that at the moment they're in a pit, and they don't have any self-belief. So I was listening, that if we were to try and help and support people, it's about all the stuff that you've mentioned today about the race does play a really, really big part. But also, what I've heard today is that why would we let that limit us? And so why aren't we thinking? Why are we starting from a place of negativity when we should be starting off the place of, well, I'm brilliant, I'm absolutely fantastic, I'm a wealth of knowledge and experience, and if that's how I come across, then this thing about the energy, what you mentioned earlier on, question about you attract it, then that will automatically follow. So that's what I was thinking about.
And so, when you spend more time with me, you learn that I take no nonsense. I choose how I want to be treated and how I do not want to be treated, and I communicate very clearly what I will stand for and what I won't stand for. Yes, ma'am.
I would say in terms of there is no race, we are all one race. So in that sense, there is no race.
Yeah.
We are in cultural groups,
Yes.
and in the cultural groups, we call ourselves different races.
Yes.
And that has gotten in the way.
Yes.
And so we treat ourselves differently. We treat each other differently because of the different cultural groups that we may happen to have been born in. I always, if someone says to me about, race and this and that, I always say, well, if an alien came down, he would not see a black race, he'd just see humans, and maybe if he's wanting to kill us, he'll just kill the lot of us, because he's not going to look and be working out, well, these lot are white and they're better than that lot, and those lot are brown, and so on. So we are all one race. But in terms of the economics of life, that's when we start to make distinctions. So it's about our desires as people. So I tend to not want to buy into somebody saying to me, you are a black woman. That's a fact. But it's not a race. I'm a human
I'm a human being.
Yes, and as a human, I'm demanding how I wish to be treated from other humans,
Yeah.
despite your cultural group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's in our cultural group that we set certain expectations, and out of those expectations come limitations. So what if we were then to take the culture as the culture of the human race, and what is it that requires us to be our optimal best? What do we need to do to support each and every one of us to be at our optimal best?
I just wanted to acknowledge what Alfie was saying and Alicia, because, I mean,